So let's do it. We are going live. Welcome everyone. I think it's time for us to go live. Isn't that right, Daisy? Is it the top of the hour? My goodness, light crew here today. John's here with you. I am back in Arizona. Glad to be here with everyone on the JL Success Mastermind. Special thank you to everyone who held down the fort in my stead while I was traveling. Just got back at midnight, so just a few hours ago, from a week-long trip to the East Coast of the United States, northern East Coast, northern to mid East Coast. So New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, which is where some of my family lives, and I haven't seen them in years. So we did that. Got to take a little motorcycle ride with my brother. Got to take my daughter to Six Flags, where she rode one of the fastest roller coasters in the world. Brave little girl there. She actually closed her eyes when we got to the crest of the incline, getting ready to go down. We were actually in some low-hanging clouds. So yeah, she was like, oh my goodness. And then it was like straight down, 80 miles an hour, tons of fun. Hi, Mark. I see you as well. Edward, Daisy, Sharon. I just did what was most expedient. And I threw on a black polo shirt because I had one right there. So I'm not celebrating Fun Friday today, as it were, but I would like to celebrate it with you nonetheless. And I know we've got, well, Mark, why don't I call you out here, my friend? Because you know what? You have been a staple in this group since it was originated. In fact, if not for you and Stuart, who I know is going to be back in action pretty soon, who I need to give a call, we may not have this group. So thank you, Mark, for all you've done. How has your week been, sir?
How's my week been? It's been like all my weeks are. I'm grateful. I'm blessed. I feel, I don't know, I just feel great it's great to be alive. Every day is a blessing. I'm, pushing forward every day, doing something every day, helping Sonia at the office, working on my businesses, and every breath of air I take, I feel like, it's good to be here. And I know last week I was gone because I was on vacation with the family, but I'm back, and I like this group. I appreciate this group. I appreciate all the people that are here.
Beautiful. And I know last night you hosted a global and technical marketing episode, enhancing the customer experience via retail technology innovation. So that's cool for anyone who caught that. And if not, you can catch the replay because it's posted on the site. Yeah. Mark, you've got a lot of insights into bigger, strategic and of course tactical approaches to business. I certainly I think we got a lot that we can learn from people like you and Virginia, and Sharon's here, and of course Lindsay, and everyone who hosts, all of our facilitators who host all these things. Of course, Mark's one of them. Mark, thanks for all you do. Glad you're here, my friend.
Sure, you bet.
Yeah, good stuff.
Hope you had a good vacation.
Yeah, it was good. The idea that we can have balance. What I want to talk with you about here a little bit today is something that is the byproduct of taking a step back from the routine. I'm very into routines, and because I get more done when I have a routine, when I don't have to sit there and make a decision about what to do. I already know what to do. I already decided. So here's my routine, and let me do it. However, that can be rigid, and that can also be a comfort zone, right? A comfort zone. So here I was traveling, and here's the schedule for the airplanes, and then drive time, and then of course we're there to not do work. We're there to do something other than work, right? So we're going to go do the family thing, and so what I found myself doing? I found myself compartmentalizing the most essential work that had to get done and scheduling it for this amount of time, and it has to get done in that time. And guess what happened? It got done. For the most part, it got done. A couple of things, actually not based on my own failure to schedule, but on other people's failure to show up and do what they were supposed to do, right? There were a few loose ends, but as far as, my stuff, I found lots of things I could say no to, at least for that week. That's not going to happen. But these things are going to happen, and it all worked out. So now that I'm back, here's the thing we can all look at. Now that I'm back, do I have more discernment? I think I do, right? On what is it that I actually have to do to keep the train moving? Again, I like my routine. I like getting comfortable in that. And there's less guesswork and all that kind of stuff. But I also like efficiency, right? And this came up for me at some point, either this week or last week. You guys remember we went through the hey Gail, good to see you. We went through the science of getting rich, and he talked about that if everything you do, if every action you take is an efficient action, if it's done efficiently, then you must get rich. It has to work. It's a science. Okay. So if every action you take is an efficient one, you must get rich. And if every action or the majority of actions you take are inefficient, then you must fail. You cannot get rich. You will be poor. And then he qualified. What does it mean to have an efficient action? Does anybody recall? He told us to focus on two things when he was talking about efficient action. There was a whole chapter on that. Does anyone recall what we're supposed to focus on to make sure that our actions are efficient and therefore guarantee that we get rich? Anyone? Come on out. I see somebody, Virginia. Hi, Virginia.
I don't know. I wish I'm going to go back on over all the books we've done and take notes again.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's a definitive of purpose, even though that's quoting Napoleon Hill, but that you not need to know what your focus is and what your goal is in order to, I mean, that's got to be one of them.
There were two things. One of them was purpose.
Okay.
So that is one of, according to Wallace Wattles, your actions will be efficient and therefore guarantee your success if you maintain focus while doing the action. If you maintain your focus on two things. One, Virginia just got purpose. Why are we doing this? Why? That's the one. Okay. Anybody remember the other one? I'll give you a hint. This guy was like really into Christian scripture.
He was, yeah.
Yeah. So what was the other thing that he recommended that you focus on? Anyone? This is great stuff.
Believe.
You're getting there.
Is it believe that you will be able to accomplish? Ask and you will receive type thing?
Faith. You got it. There it is.
Okay.
Actually, Lindsay put it in the chat. Okay. But faith in what? Faith in some blind, let me, just hope for the best, or, have faith in, the unseen or whatever. Well, no, there's more to it than that. And this is what Napoleon Hill talked about in Think and Grow Rich, was that through autosuggestion, you can induce faith in yourself, in your own ability to, have integrity, give yourself a command, follow it. And yes, there are greater forces at work, but to be working with the law, faith in the law, faith in the omnipotent lawfulness of the universe, which you're a part of, right? So it's not like I have faith in something that I can't even, put my hands on. I have faith in all that except me. I'm not a part of that. Oh, well, hold on a second, right? So that's a separation right there. That's a separation from law or from omnipotence, omniscience, etc. So if we are going to get rich predictably, then we must make each action an efficient one. And according to Wattles, to do so, maintain your focus on your purpose and faith. So here's why I'm doing it, and here's my faith that I actually can. And that in doing things the certain way, there's certainty, faith, those words kind of go together, right? Doing things the certain way with an absence of doubt, with a knowingness and an expectation that, greater intelligence is conspiring and is moving the currents in my direction, right? Because I have chosen to take thought. I know, Virginia, you and I have Q&A'd or sidebarred this a little bit, right? Power of thought. Because I've chosen to focus my thoughts on purpose and faith. Then this action is now efficient, and now it's going to get done, and now I'm going to get on to the next action, and I'll make sure that's an efficient one as well. So really, what I just experienced, looking at my own past week, where it was much more random than my routine, right? Much more random. I still experienced efficiency, and I still put stats on the board in multiple ways. Now, what does that mean moving forward? That means I can now have more discernment about here's the things that, you know what, I didn't do them and it didn't matter that I didn't do them. Oh, well, that's an indicator. So can I now get more efficient? Here's the, the other use of the word efficiency, getting more done in less time, right? Still being effective, not doing crappy work. Okay. But can I be more efficient with my own expenditure of time, attention, energy, effort? Right? Sure I can. Now that I got to have a little bit of an objective view, I got taken out of my routine, and now I can look back into it and I can see, oh, that worked, that didn't, necessary, not necessary. One of the characteristics of genius, I think we talked about this maybe last week. One of the characteristics of genius is the ability to discriminate between barriers and distractions. So this is a problem that needs to be solved. Here's a barrier. Let me address it. Here's a distraction, which I don't need to give any attention to. Let me ignore it. And the ability to evaluate the relative importance or non-importance of data, right? That's a big deal these days. How many of us have been encumbered with all these secondary and tertiary considerations that aren't worth a hill of beans, whether we're effective with them or not, right? How many of us have done that? How many people, give you an example which may make this more real. So someone is at their job, right? They've got an office job, and they're putting so much attention and energy on the coworker that they maybe don't get along with, and it's an energy drain, right? And they are letting others rent space in their head, and they are so affected by influences which, had they been affected differently by them or just not affected by them, it still wouldn't amount to a hill of beans in terms of their own production, their pay, right? And yet we're social beings, right? So that's one that a lot of people tend to fixate their attention on is, what did they mean by that? When they said that to me, were they being critical of me, right? And reading our autobiography into, what other people might think. How about keeping our own counsel? Right. And I know there's certainly mega use for, mentoring, coaching, masterminding. Obviously, we're all here. But do you not know your situation better than anyone else? Now, a lot of people couldn't affirmatively answer yes to that and be truthful. All right. So that's why, again, taking a step back and actually looking, will this profit me? This thing I'm about to put my attention on, will it profit me? Will it move the mission forward? Is it on purpose? Is it, in the case of the example I just brought up with the human interaction kind of stuff, is it something that is evidence of the currents moving toward me, right? That faith, right? The knowing that I don't have to have all the answers, right? I'm just going to act on purpose and with faith. Is that evidence to the affirmative or to the negative? So let me give more attention. And here's where I'm going with this today, because I was just listening to one of my mentors talk in my ear while I was taking care of unpacking and such, the law of vibration. We're talking about the law of vibration. So think of it like this. We've got, and the example that he used was a rainbow. Okay. So let's say you look at a rainbow. You've all seen rainbows, right? So you look at a rainbow and you've got, I suppose, infrared on the far end where you can't see it anymore. And then you've got ultraviolet on the other end where you can't see it anymore. And then in between, there's the spectrum of colors from violet to red, right? But can you say that exactly right there in that exact spot is where, green ends and blue begins, or yellow or whatever, right? Oh, that's orange, that's red. See, they're all connected, and they'll just that whole spectrum just kind of blends together. And I thought that was an interesting metaphor, because, and by the way, you can look at it at different angles and you can get a different reality, a different experience. Oh, well, that's its position in space and time. Oh, no, actually, no, I think it's that position in space and time. Oh, it just moved. Oh, the sun moved, the water moved. Now we're just talking about something physical that we can look at, and we could see, yeah, there is actually an illusion, right? Although it looks quite real, right? And this is just color, light, All right. And we're experiencing it based on whatever filters and whatever position we're in. But we cannot see where one color ends and one begins because they all blend together. It's all one, what, droplets of water, right? That's all we're looking at. Same thing in terms of our thoughts and our experiences. So if you're with this idea that all of the things, the physical stuff that we've got in our world, in our universe, right? All of it is the result of thought. Like this computer I'm talking on right now, some people thought about, an idea about making this thing called a computer, and it's evolved over time and whatever, but this wouldn't exist had people not taken thought and experimented and caused this. And so we may oversimplify this and say, no, it's just physical stuff and we're physical stuff in the universe of physical stuff. No, hold on a second, because it's all interconnected. So the thought becomes the thing, but where does one cut off and the other start? If we look at everything as energy, which is vibrating, right? Nothing rests. Everything's energy, okay? Including this computer I'm talking to you on now. It's just in a very solid, very low rate of vibration. Here's aluminum, right? And glass and stuff like that. So the energy has been reduced down to a very slow rate of vibration, okay? Well, above that, right, we could say electricity. That's energy, right? That's a higher rate of vibration. And then, we get into different states of thought, right? Low state of thought, very stopped and slow and serious and solid. Think about the words, right? And then we get to higher vibrations of thought, right? Elation, enthusiasm, gratitude, bliss. Where's the line of demarcation? Just like the rainbow. So we're dealing with, and what I've been noticing and being reminded of again and again is that we're dealing with our own responsibility to take thought. In other words, to quote Waddles again, to think truth regardless of appearances. To think truth, there's the faith, regardless of appearances, especially if appearances are contradictory or counter to the truth. What is the truth? The truth is we know that we are powerful beings. We know that we're powerful in our use of thought. We know that the currents of the universe, the cosmos are shifting in our direction because we've chosen to focus on these things as within, so without, high vibration of thought, high production. When I feel good, I do good. When I'm decisive and experiencing definiteness of purpose, right? I tend to produce more. My statistics improve. Mystical? No, not mystical. But here's the question. Where is that line of demarcation? Can you see the difference between, where like this negative or mediocre thought ends and where this higher one begins? What we've got to do is be aware of our own vibration, our own emotional state. Because really that's what it comes down to. Anyone you guys remember Power of Consistency, Weldon Long, where he talked about thought, emotion, action, result. That was the cycle that he described. Funnily enough, I described the exact same cycle in the book that we're studying now in our book club, right? So here's my thoughts about whatever. Here are the emotional states that are conjured up by that. Here are the actions that I then choose to take based on my emotional state, not just based on what I think, based on my emotional state. Okay, so what actions, what am I buying right now? Remember, we've talked about this when we've done like sales training stuff. All sales are based on emotion, not logic, emotion. Okay, so there's the bridge, right? So thought, emotion, action, and then result. Oh, look at the result and have some thoughts about it. And there's the upward spiral or the downward spiral. Now, if the results are lackluster or they're not, the maximum, optimal, whatever, we could find ourselves, despite being intent on fulfilling purposes and reaching goals, we could get emotionally involved with those appearances and drop on the faith side. So again, Waddle said, an efficient action is one where we have maintained our focus on purpose and faith. So the intellectual purpose, right, the thing that we know here's a mission that we're on, must be coupled with a high emotional state. Now we're working with the law. And as we've often said, you can't break the law. You can only break yourself against the law. So why don't we just work with the law? Well, because it's hard. It's hard, thinking truth is laborious, according to Waddles, especially when truth is contrary to appearances. Faith. So I'm thinking about this for myself and how it relates to everyone here. We've got all of us. We're on missions, various missions. Many of us, I think all of us, are engaged in some form of business, right? But regardless of what the business, whatever the actions are, which can change, and you can insert business here and all that. Who's doing it? That's the big question. Because we can only like how we show up. Right? We can only show up as one of those people. And so it's incumbent upon us to have constant reminders. And I think that's one of the things that we're doing right now, that, when I approach this from a higher or an elevated emotional state, I'm going to get a completely different result. You can think of, we're talking about like the law of vibration now, right? You can think of it like, since all energy is moving, right? Here's a form of energy, radio waves, radio waves, which I'm rather familiar with. You guys remember when I was getting my ham radio license? Yeah. So I've since gotten that, but I know a lot more about radio waves now. And so there are different frequencies of vibration on that. You could take an FM transistor radio right now, and you could tune into one of them, and you can hear the energy that's already in your room. It's already there. Now, just like the far spectrum of light, you can't see it with the naked eye. You can't hear the music that's in your room right now. But you know what? If I was sitting there with Mark, right, we would probably put on some smooth jazz or something. Just looking at Mark, he looks like he's in a smooth jazz kind of mood.
Led Zeppelin, man.
Well, that's what I meant. Zeppelin, of course, Zeppelin. Right. Thank you. But if I went over to Gail, right, now I'm sitting there with Gail, let's say in the same room, and she doesn't like the Led Zeppelin, right? We just change the frequency, and we can listen to gangster rap, right, Gail? Gangster rap for you? Yes. Okay. But it's all there already. It's there. You can't hear it, but we could just tune into different frequencies using machinery that somebody thought of. Hey, there's this Marconi guy, and we can do the radio thing. Oh, okay, great. Let's do that. But yeah, we can use physical technologies to enhance our experience in the physical world. But all of it comes down to who's doing it, and what mental state are you doing it. Yeah, there are times when I'll turn on the smooth jazz. I can only handle like one or two songs from Kenny G, because it's just that soprano sax. It's just, all right, enough, dude, enough. Same with Spyro Gyra. I got a few Spyro Gyra albums, and they all sounded exactly the same. I don't know. I mean, they got some interesting compositions, great recordings. I love the Pieces of a Dream. I love the quality of the recording. Sometimes I just buy music just because of the recording quality, because I've invested a lot in like stereo hi-fi systems. So I just sit there. I don't necessarily like the music, but my goodness, listen to that. Listen to the transparency of the little symbol, somebody with a little triangle there, and rubbing the maraca thing or something. It's just, wow, what a great recording. The music sucks, but the recording, oh my goodness, right? Yeah. So we find things that we can appreciate. Right there, great example. We find things that we can appreciate. Yeah, this is not optimal. Okay, but listen, look at that. All right. Oh, that's nice. Can we build on that? Can we make different combinations out of that? That came out good. Yeah, we can do that. We can focus on, as Paul said in the letter to the Corinthians, or whatever chapter it was in the book, any thing of good report, things of beauty, things of good report. Think on these things. Pray without ceasing. Difficult, not easy for me. And I'll speak for myself. I would say you get to that point where that's like, totally effortless kind of a thing. Well, I suppose at that point it's, walking on water and, fish and loaves and stuff. I'm not there. Okay. So I'll stay on the path. But I hope this gives you guys some ideas about, who you're going to be throughout the rest of today, and then tomorrow, the weekend, and then throughout the following week. right? From what emotional state are you experiencing and executing, right? Because there's give and take, right? There's cause and effect. From what or with what emotional state are you experiencing life? And if I could just, and look, I've invested a lot of money into, study and counsel and all this kind of stuff, courses, seminars, everything, to that one end. To that one end is to get this thing straight so I can get this thing straight. The heart, the head, and then the actions. People sometimes make a big deal or put people on a pedestal when they've demonstrated some lofty result. And it sometimes could seem like an overnight success. But just like the duck on the pond that looks all like smooth as silk, those legs are going, right? What's happening under the surface, right? And was it truly an overnight success? Since I was just in New Jersey, I was reminded of Bon Jovi. There's some music for you, right? Who was an overnight success, which took 10 years, right? For that to be an overnight success. So look within and don't compare your insides to other people's outsides. This is something I got to remember all the time. There's no pedestals. Okay. And if someone's demonstrating an awesome result, see what you can find out about what's going on inside. Right. And what you'll find is that they are more chronically in a higher emotional state. Not necessarily that they're smarter than you or they have more specialized or general knowledge, as Napoleon Hill talked about, but they are doing things in this certain way, the absence of doubt, the way of certainty. Yeah. That feels good, doesn't it? Oh, wow. That's tuning into that higher frequency. And then the results, well, here's the result. But the result is a guaranteed byproduct, right? It wasn't something I had to force. I just became powerful. And so here are better results. That's it. I worked with the law. You think about, certainly Mark knows about force multipliers, right? So here's a a firearm, right? And here's a person of weak stature, right? Who could then defend against a much stronger, like Goliath, right? Force multiplier, right? So all we're doing when we work with the law is we're saying, okay, here's the technology I have, right? It's me choosing the right thoughts and getting in a higher emotional state, right? There's my weapon now. There's my weapon. Now let me go work with whatever it is. Let me go beat Goliath. Let me go do whatever I got to do because I've got a purpose to do so. In fact, that's a great story. David and Goliath, right? He was the force multiplier with some sort of a slingshot thing. And took that guy by surprise. So that worked out. Didn't work out for Goliath, but interesting story, right? So consider how big you can actually be in this equation. By the way, an interesting part of that story that a lot of people often neglect is that the reward for taking down Goliath was live the rest of your life tax-free and marry the princess. That's what David focused on. All the other guys were focused on Goliath. He kept thinking about princesses and never paying taxes again. What are you thinking about? Different emotional state here. You see that? What do you guys think? I'd love to hear from a few of you. Sharon, I'm on the move. A classic session. Thank you. Glad you're here, Sharon. On the move. Keep on moving. Keep on trucking, right? Movement is good. Stopped, not good, right? Move. All right. I see Daisy and Edward and Gail and Linda and Lindsay and Mandy and Mark and Sandra and Virginia. Who wants to talk? Come on out. And it's so good to be back here with you guys. And thank you once again for everyone who held down the fort, including and especially Adrian, who pulled the double, and Glenn, who pulled the double. Awesome stuff. So Mark Riggle, come on out, brother.
Gosh, where am I going to start with this one, John? Just some of the comments that you made. I guess where I want to start is the David and Goliath thing. Mm-hmm. I think that's if I'm going to apply it to my personal circumstances, it's looking back to say 2019, when Sonia was dealing with her injury and her therapy, and then getting into Blue Sky and JLSM, and looking at what the future transition might look for us, moving out of this environment that we're in now. And what I mean by that is, the dental environment, what we lived in my pension, and looking, the Goliath is e-commerce. The Goliath is the new beginning. The Goliath is the transition and the unknowing of where I might be in 6 months or a year or 2 years or 5. And it's that transition. It's putting together, how am I going to get there? What am I going to do to make that happen? And do I have the tools, i.e., the rock and the sling, or how do I get from this point where I'm at right now with nothingness really to, and I'm not saying that I don't have the tools and the wisdom and experience. I'm just saying that moving into that path and moving into that environment, it's an unknown. And how do I put things together that I can sort of slay the dragon? I can move to that next level, and I can make that all happen. It is happening. The transition is occurring. Some days and some weeks and months seems to be a little bit faster than others, but it is progressive. It is forward, and I now have the tools. This is about one tool, but it's an important tool, and it's a transitional tool on a daily basis for me, and it's a mental tool. It's a mental and heart tool that I need, along with, in my bag of tools for other things that I do. And it is working. It's helping me get there. Am I knocking down all these barriers every single day, at the speed of light? No, but that's okay. As long as one foot's going in front of the other, as long as I'm making a little progress, as long as I'm eating a piece of the elephant one bite at a time, as long as I'm making progress in that regard, as long as there are improvements, this whole impression, this whole idea of impression of increase, as long as those kind of things are happening for me, I remain positive. I keep that faith, as you were talking about at the beginning of this, and that's why I said at the beginning of this, I'm not spazzing out. I'm not freaking out. Things aren't that because things aren't happening at the speed of light. I'm okay with that. I've actually, in this last year, I've grown to have some, because I'm kind of a type A personality. I'm very directive, my background, and I've had to kind of walk back from that a little bit in some respects. And I'm not saying in positive ways, in ways that make me feel more comfortable in my skin and where I'm going, and not so pushy on myself, which is, I am my worst enemy in many respects. So in that regard, and maybe pushing too hard in some ways that were negative. But this environment over this last year has really helped me to be more comfortable in that approach, more methodical in that approach, and not be so you know self-whipping, or what do they call that, what are the guys, they flatulate themselves with, that kind of stuff. I'm not doing that like nearly as much as I used to do. So all I'm saying is this environment has been very helpful for me. The sessions that I do on, every other week, like last night, I've really begun to enjoy those much more, because it's a way to learn. It's a way to give to the others in this environment, like you giving to us. I think I'm beginning to understand the it's not it's nice to have income, certainly is. We have to pay our bills, but it's what it's doing for me here and here in that whole thing that I just didn't have as much appreciation for. Maybe that's the best way I could put it. But in all cases, the Goliath is now being diminished, and I'm feeling much more comfortable about my approach to all of it. And I don't feel nearly as naked and afraid as I used to feel when I first came into this.
Wow, that's huge. Mark, question for you. do you feel like when you confront Goliath, okay, are you playing a big enough game? In other words, are you operating at a proper order of magnitude for what you're trying to tackle, or do you sometimes feel like you're still just chipping away on this huge mountain? Is it drudgery, or are you feeling powerful?
I I'd say there's a combination. There are times that I feel like I'm really making progress, and there are other times that I feel like I'm chipping away and marking time. I think in the beginning of all this too, John, when we first came into your program, we had this thought that, and it still exists, is trying to remain in a position of discomfort, like always trying to remain uncomfortable and moving, and moving forward. I find myself getting comfortable sometimes, and I don't move as quickly as, or in oh, what's the word I'm looking for? But in levels of magnitude to the point that I feel I could reach out and do. So am I falling short? In some cases, yeah, I feel like that's it. But is it causing me a lot of grief and pain? No. I'm becoming more comfortable in understanding why that may be for me, and then that's helping me cope with those things and just continue to move forward. As long as I'm making progress, I'm
Mhm.
okay with that. I don't know
Okay.
if I'm answering that question
Well,
as
no, I'm just
much.
thinking. I'm
Yeah.
just thinking that the saying, you don't take a knife to a gunfight, right? So are you using a big enough weapon? Are you playing a big enough game, right? Are you confronting fully the opportunity and being bigger than Goliath, and then finding new combinations? Oh, helicopter! I can get to that mountain quicker now, right? So you know what I'm trying to say? Big game.
Yeah, and I don't. I suspect that I think maybe not appropriate, but I'm not using all the tools and abilities that I could. I think there's always room. I should never be at the point where I am in complete satisfaction about all that I am doing to get where I'm going. I think I should always take a pragmatic and realistic approach that there are ways to improve and look to additional resources to make those things happen for me more quickly or more robustly, or how, however you want to use it, whatever metric I want to use. But to say that I'm completely at ease with all things in life and I'm in nirvana right now, I think that also would be kind of a lie on myself.
Well, I think the only person who's in Nirvana right now is probably Mandy Anderson, because she's experiencing sun and it looks like she's near a
Okay.
pool or something.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a false background. I don't know. Do they actually have sun in England?
We do have sun in England, but it's only going to be here for about 4 days, and that'll be our summer, I think. But we
Right.
get a heat wave for 4 days, and that's it.
Oh,
And the pool's
beautiful.
empty at the moment, but we're working on it.
So good to see you, Mandy. So Mark, thanks for letting me lean on you a little bit there, because I know that I could work hard, chipping away with my tiny little chisel, right? Or I could go get a stick of dynamite, right? Depending on the mission, right? But if I'm thinking I am, I'm the chisel guy. I don't even see the dynamite. I don't even see it. Right? What are you talking
Let's
about? That's for other
Just
people. That's not for me.
one last quick point
Yeah.
to what you're just saying right now, John, and that's, yeah, we can use the chisel to, anybody who's watched the Shawshank Redemption. I mean, there's, Andy's in there and he's got his little rock hammer, and over the years he created this huge tunnel in order to get him out. It took him, almost forever to do it, but we just, in this conversation, we talked about faith and purpose. Did the guy have faith and purpose,
Oh yeah.
in making that whole, I am going to get out. I am going to make it through this. I am going to make this work. I'm going to protect my little clandestine effort to get there. I am going to see the light again. I think that is, I don't know. I just really like that movie for a lot of reasons, and that's one of them. It's just that whole
Right.
idea of that focus and what you go through, and just the hell that you get there, and you still can see the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. The long, you know, that long pipe that he went through. I just thought, wow,
Right.
that was actually great.
Yeah.
That's a great metaphor for life too.
Yeah, and keep in mind, we're talking about one with very few tools and abilities, very little liberty. One of my favorite movies is The Count of Monte Cristo, where, yeah, the guy, he's chiseling for years or whatever, and ends up in the other guy's cell. He took a wrong turn, and they, become friends, and amazing, amazing story. All right, good stuff. Thank you, Mark. Anybody else want to talk today? Come on out. You're also able, not just to talk, but you're also able. That's what I want to leave you with here today. If nobody else wants to talk, you deserve to play a big game, right? And to secure new combinations of things that will accelerate your result with purpose and with faith that you actually can. So I don't see any other hands. Yes, I do. I see Linda. Hey, Linda. And then Lindsay. Here come all the L's. Hi, Linda.
Hey, John. Yeah, the law of vibration. I mean, yes, I try to have a positive attitude every single day. And you talked about, a coworker. Yeah, I've been dealing with that quite a bit. And I finally have just said, no, I'm not going to give her that kind of power. And I'm more powerful. So, but, the law of attraction, the positivity and all that good stuff. It's like you can be attracting all of that from the universe. But if you're not taking any action, the universe has no idea where to send it. So, yeah, I just need to take more action.
Well, interesting choice of words. So are you, does that sound like you're operating from a position of faith or expectancy?
Yes.
Okay, good. Then that's good. The idea of letting others rent space in your head, if you've acknowledged that, because the way to solve that problem is to first confront the problem. So it sounds like you're doing that. So that will relieve you of a lot of subjective expenditure of fruitless, energy and whatever. I think if we could just get more objective, and some people argue that men could do this more easily than women, and we've had these discussions too, but no, we've all got the ability to take a step back, which is what prompted this whole talk today, because I took a step back from my routine in this case, and I got to look at it and not just be in it, but be above it, and then make some decisions objectively, right? Because I was able to then evaluate the relative importance or non-importance of actions. Right. So in this case, it seems like, this coworker person or whatever, probably doesn't deserve a whole lot more of your attention.
None.
Beautiful.
Yes.
What a win.
Yeah. And then just learning to slow down, to speed up, just to focus. So,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Glad you're here, my friend.
That's right.
Linda. All right. Let's go to one of my other favorite ladies, Lindsay. Hi, Lindsay.
I'm glad you're back.
Thank you.
But yeah, the idea of slowing down to realize, okay, if you're chiseling away at something, can be laborious, yes. And I know you and I had this talk that sometimes I feel like I can't keep control of a conversation because I'm just by nature high strung all over the place. But when I took a step back, I thought, okay, I can keep doing this and chiseling away, but then I've got a bigger vision, that may be a different way. Well, I figured out I was just distracted because I took inventory of my time and figured out who's renting space in my head, eliminated that. And then it was like I found my focus. I was not distracted. And that was like huge for me. So I thought, okay, I can still keep chiseling away, but in another realm, I can go from a different angle and have focus and no attachment either.
Wow.
And I'm like, aha, that is it. Yeah, that was, but I had to stop and take inventory of what I was, I have faith in myself, but I have more faith in myself when I'm not just chiseling away and I wasn't thinking big enough per se. I just, and I had another point with that, but I think it's when we get to feeling overwhelmed, and that's when we get distracted. So I took a step back and just reevaluated everything. And I thought, well, let's approach it from this angle. And it was like a whole, I attacked things from a different vibration level. It was like I was on my game. I was on point, and it was really fun.
And it felt good.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
And when you feel good,
yeah,
you do good.
yeah, you're right.
Beautiful. You're awesome, Lindsay. Yeah. Yeah. And what an unfolding we've seen here. And look, it's not mysterious. I think that's the point that we're getting at today, is that we actually are in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
Not that, we control every single circumstance. Okay. But like James Allen said, we can control our thoughts, and therefore indirectly yet surely shape our circumstances. Start getting those currents moving in the directions, again, working with the law. So always good to hear from you, my friend. So glad you're here. Lindsay, Dala England. All right. And we got Edward. What's up, Edward? What you doing, brother?
How you doing, sir?
I'm awesome.
Glad to have you back.
Thank you.
It's amazing to me, and I know I say this a lot, but it's uncanny how you choose topics, because it's just like you're Kreskin or somebody. You see into people, and you see, it's like you see into the group, because what you really got for me today is, it's one thing to find your purpose, but it's another thing to maintain the passion about the purpose. And everything you talk about today about who you're being, and Goliath, and his focus was on marrying the king's daughter and having a tax-free existence. It wasn't on Goliath, and all those kind of things that are just so, you just miss all that. And until you hear it come from the perspective that you have, it's always just so on point and on time. And I just want to tell you, I'm just bowled over by, you just being so on point. And I just appreciate you, because that's what I've been struggling with. I've been struggling with the maintenance of my purpose, because you feel good and you're excited and you go for the gusto, and it doesn't turn out the way you want it to be. So you have that flow, that ebb and that flow. And I'm trying to make sure that I keep, the flow. And the vibration is very important. And recognizing the laws that are in the principles that we've studied, to go back over them. Like you said, it's vital that we remind ourselves of what it is that we've got to do and where we're trying to be. Because, if not, this place that we call life, will distract you from your purpose. It'll distract you from your belief. It'll distract you from the faith that you have and the things that you say you believe. And like you said, who are you being? Because, what you say you believe, right now you're not demonstrating it, So that may be the issue that a lot of us are dealing with. But I'm going to tell you, you hit right bullseye for me today. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. I actually had to look up the amazing Kreskin, because that was a little bit before my time. What was that? 1970, which was the year I was born. And this guy, he amazed some people.
he was something else. He really was.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Thank you. And all I do is look and listen, and kind of like maybe like a Sherlock Holmes kind of thing. But if I can, just so you know what I'm doing. No, I'm not psychic. Actually, just reading what I was just reading about Kreskin while you were talking. He didn't want to be known as a psychic either. But if we can intuit just based on observation, then we can connect so much more with people. And look, because you're in sales and marketing, Edward, you got to get in communication with people, and the words that are coming out of their mouths, that's 5-7% of it, right? What's the rest of the communication? And if you can look and you can listen, well, now we can have a conversation, right? So yeah, I've spent 30 something years doing that. Anyway, glad you're here, brother. All right, let's wrap it up. We're going to get together again today for Be Heard. I do have the intention of having some more like definite plans in terms of logistics and what have you for October. All right. So for anyone who's looking to get together in our regional October event in Las Vegas, Nevada, and surrounding environs, yeah. So we're going to go ahead and put that together. We still have months to get to that time, but yeah, now that I'm back, I'm putting that stuff together. So anybody who wants to talk about that or anything else, I'm going to be back here with you at 6 p.m. Eastern US time for Be Heard. So be there if you want to be heard, and I'll hear you. All right, my friends. Thanks again. We'll see you.